It's been 8 years, I think, since I interviewed my next guest, midfielder, Stephen Gregory. Let's turn the clock back to the very start, Stephen. When you became aware of Wimbledon's interest, how did the move come about to you? What appealed to you about wanting to be a part of the story?
I was playing for Hayes and Yedin in the Conference South, as well Wimbledon. So played against them a couple of times that year. Wimbledon won the league that year, and we went up through the playoffs. And I scored, believe it or not, I scored 2 goals in the final, Hayes and Yedin. Yeah, and Terry Brown rang me like 3 or 4 days after that. Obviously I was going into conference anyway with Hayes and Yedin, and he said, really, I thought you played really well against us for the couple of games that you played, and I saw the final, you did really well. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah. So I met him at Holiday Inn in High Wycombe. A few days after that, I was young then, so I think because Hayes and Yedin had offered me a contract, there was some compensation maybe that they had to figure out between them before the deal could be done. But yeah, no brainer really. Going, Hayes and Yedin, I had a great time there, but to move to a club like AFC Wimbledon was kind of a no-brainer for me. So yeah, decision was made, and I think once they figured out the compensation costs, it was a done deal.
Moving it forward now to that historic season we get promoted, just building up to that. The squad at the time that we had, what do you remember of that, the makeup of it, the mentality of it, the belief behind it?
Yeah, so it was quite a big change in the squad actually from the first year to the second year. So the first year that we were in the Conference National, we were still part-time. So we were training 2 nights a week, and therefore it was mainly a lot of experienced players that were still working, that had jobs, and coming in obviously on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night. And they were the guys that had gone through the lower leagues with the club. And then Terry Brown and the club decided that it was time to go full-time, to move the club forward, become much more of a professional outfit. So some of those older guys that were in careers, were school teachers or electricians or plumbers, whatever, they all had to move away from AFC Wimbledon, and Terry Brown just assembled this young, really hungry squad of boys that wanted to play full time. Obviously, the club couldn't afford to pay, ridiculous money at that point, so they had a very clear recruitment strategy, I think, which were lads that were still living at home but wanted to prove themselves in the game. And yeah, so I remember coming in pre-season, and loads of new faces were arriving, and then there was only a handful of us that were left from the previous season, and just remember it being a really fit squad. It's a really hungry and fit group of lads, with some really talented boys in there as well. So yeah, it was an exciting prospect. I think the expectation was to try and push for playoffs. But because it was such a young team, I don't think really promotion was massively on the cards right from the get-go. It was more about trying to build that squad for maybe the following season pushing for promotion. But we got off to a really strong start. I think we were unbeaten 7 or 8 games at the start of the season. And I think as soon as that started happening, we realised that actually
6-1 over Fleetwood. I mean, what a professional job we did over 2 legs in that. The away leg winning 2-0 up there, and then 6-1, an unforgettable night at Kingsmeadow, then beating Fleetwood to book that place in the final.
Yeah, actually, I think the first leg was one of the best games that we played all season. We secured playoffs sort of like 4 or 5 games before the playoffs started. Crawley had run away with the league. We couldn't catch them with like 4 or 5 games left. So we knew we were in the playoffs. And so we started to prepare for the playoffs with like 4 games left of the season. Everything was geared around what we're going to do in that game. So we had quite a set formation. We had always played a diamond the whole season. I was at the base of that diamond and holding midfield. And various players were coming in and filling those slots. But we just tried to start to really just focus on our mentality going into those playoffs. So we were so ready for Fleetwood away when that time came. I think we finished second in the end. So we played Fleetwood. Fleetwood were a really, really strong team, really experienced lad, definitely a bigger budget than what we had. So they'd got some proper players in their team. And the game we won 2-0 away was, I honestly think that was probably the best game that we actually, best performance we put in all year. And yeah, it obviously brought us back to the home game a few days later, and we knew it was just all about getting off to a strong start. It couldn't have gone better. We scored after about 30 seconds. I think their defender made a mistake, and Kai Mohammed latched onto it and banged it in, and we went 1-0 up with 30 seconds, and we just knew it was going to be our night, and we went and enjoyed it, and it was an absolute trashing in the end. It was a great night.
So then, of course, we go to the city of Manchester playing against Luton Town. Of course, they're trying to get back into the Football League as well. That historic day. So let's concentrate on the 90 minutes first of all. You played the 90 minutes. What was it? Was it kind of nervous, kind of cagey to start off with?
Again, we had a long time to prepare for it. So it was about 2 weeks, about 10 days or 2 weeks from the semi-final to the final. So a long time to prepare for it, and we felt really prepared. So I felt really excited. I wouldn't say I felt nervous. I think we were still the underdogs, really. Like Luton, even though I think we finished above them, but they were definitely the favourites to win that game. So we had the underdog mentality of excitement. There wasn't too much fear in the dressing room at all. And I really, really enjoyed the game. It was tense. It was a tense game, but I really, really enjoyed playing in it. The biggest game, you know, certainly up to that point in my career, maybe in my career to date. But yeah, just a fantastic occasion. It's such a shame it wasn't at Wembley that year. I think for me personally, it would have been the biggest chance I would have got to play at Wembley. But the City of Manchester Stadium was amazing nonetheless. We had a great support there, a lot of fans. And yeah, I just remember the game being tense. I think we edged it first half. I remember coming in at half time feeling like we had the much more of the play, and if we carried on like that, we might get a chance to win it. And then, yeah, I picked up a nasty knock after about 60 or 70 minutes. Just took a tackle and it hurt like hell, but managed to get through the rest of the 90 minutes sort of through adrenaline, really. And then once it went into extra time, we had like a 5-minute break. It properly seized up. I was in a lot of pain, but obviously desperate to carry on. And Terry Brown just saw that. I think there was one where I couldn't get near the player, where I was trying to make a tackle and I couldn't push off on my right side. So yeah, absolutely gutting to come off the pitch, completely gutting. Obviously never imagined that it would be my last game for Wimbledon for a while, but yeah, but still the experience of the whole thing was just unbelievable.
How do you feel then in that kind of situation, and when you had to come, because you say it's a massive game, but do you have to sort of like think, right, I've got to put the team first here now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was the right decision. You know, I watched the game back and I could barely run once we went into extra time. So I knew it was the right decision. I was gutted because I wanted to help the team, obviously. I thought I was playing really well up to that point, and but had full confidence. Lee Minch would come on for me, had full confidence in him, and was desperate for the boys to go on and win it, which obviously happened in dramatic style and something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, I'm just sort of looking back over the penalties again, and there's that moment of you in the coverage where I think you hold your fingers up to the camera and you go war like that.
Yeah.
What were your memories of that? Because obviously Seb Brown, couple of great saves, and then Danny with the incredible moment that got us back in the league.
Yeah, it's the most emotional I've been, I think, ever in a football match. I've been involved in penalty shootouts, but obviously to that level, never before. and never since. So, yeah, not to be in the centre circle with the boys was hard, but being around the management, around, you know, all the squad on the sideline was huge. And then, yeah, the camera happened to be behind me, and I knew when our fourth penalty went in that all Keds had to do, I turned around, I think I looked up to see where my family were, and the camera was there in my face. So that I just let out that emotion of, we just need one more. And yeah, thankfully it was Keds that stepped up, and it was never in doubt.
Absolutely. Then, of course, the decision came. You move on to Bournemouth, but you came back to Wimbledon, and it's the unique situation. You must have played under 3 different managers in the time that you came back, yeah?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously I went on to Bournemouth for a new challenge, and played a season there. And the second season was when all the money started rolling in there, and they started making a lot of signings. So I couldn't get a game, so obviously a loan move was on the cards, and thankfully Terry Brown took me back for a 3-month loan move. Yeah, so went back there, and we were struggling at the time. Wimbledon was struggling, I think bottom of the league. So obviously with the affiliation to the club, I was just desperate to go in and help, desperate for Terry to keep his job, doing so much for me as a young boy going to Wimbledon in the first place. But it was really tough, really tough. There was a complete different kind of club, not a different club to when I left, but you know, I'd left from such a winning mentality, from going and expecting to win every game, to them it was just like roll up your sleeves and fight for every point. And it was really, really tough to get a hold in most of the games. Obviously a step up in League Two, and unfortunately after a few games, you know, Terry Brown lost his job, with Stuart Cash moving on as well. So Bassi is such a great guy, you know, loves the club to death, stepped up for a few games, and we really wanted him to get the job. You know, we thought, look, you are the right man to get this club out of this, because everyone was just desperate to play for him. There's not one person that didn't love Simon Bassi in that dressing room. So everyone was desperate to play for him. Like I said, the last time we spoke was Wickham away, where we won 1-0, which was a great result. But, you know, the guys up top made a great decision in bringing Neil Ardley in. So he came in and instantly knew he was a great manager. Like really, really good coach on the training. First couple of training sessions were really, really good. And you quickly understand that the guy knows football inside out. So just was thankful to work under Neil Ardley actually, and learn some things off him.
In this modern day and age as well of social media and so on, and staying in contact with people, do you still stay in touch with a lot of the lads? You got WhatsApp, or perhaps on a group with any of them?
There's a group with the old boys, but the original lads that we got promoted with, and it sparks up every now and then, especially around this time when it's, you know, the anniversary of that victory. I chatted with Keds not too long ago. Obviously, I spent time at Gillingham with him as well. I actually saw Elliot Godfrey on Monday, as he's doing some work for us at Fit Life Gym. So we had a good catch up. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a regular chatting to them, but we're all still in contact, and now and then a conversation will spark up, which is great.
You went on to Gillingham, you established yourself there. But how do you look back on your time with AFC Wimbledon now? Was it perhaps the best time in your career?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm not just saying this because it's for AFC Wimbledon, but I say it to absolutely everyone. It was the best club that I played for by a country mile, just purely for the fact of the supporters and the people involved with the club, what it meant to them. You know, from the moment I came in, we had a bit of a history lesson during pre-season about what the club was, how it was set up, what it meant to everyone, and it's very hard to not buy into that and want to be successful, especially with the group of players that we had during that time as well. In the conference, like I said, everyone young, hungry. There was no egos whatsoever, which is quite rare in professional football anyway. Is that the dressing room does usually have a lot of egos involved, and there just wasn't any of that in AFC Wimbledon. So the club was just run brilliantly. the fans would, you know, appreciate everything you did. Even if you lost the game, you'd be in the bar after them having a chat, and they'd give you a pat on the back, which is fantastic. Whereas a lot of other clubs, that just doesn't happen, and you definitely take that for granted when you're playing for AFC Wimbledon. You know, you really feel that love and togetherness with the supporters that you just don't sometimes at other clubs.
Let's talk about now, because I mean, you're still in your early 30s, but it's a completely different life for you now. I mean, the transition out of professional football into becoming the founder, the owner of the company that you've got now, Fit Life. I mean, you finished off, you went back before that with Tame United, which is where you started your career, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I decided to stop playing at 27. Pretty much from the moment I left Wimbledon to join Gillingham, I kind of realised that it wasn't really what I wanted to do anymore, which sounds really strange to most people. You know, it was a dream of mine to be a professional footballer. It was what I was doing, but certain things happened to me within the game that made me fall out of love with it, and not with football itself, but definitely with the politics side of the industry. And only people in football can understand that, really. But I started to write business plans for opening up a gym back home, which is in Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire border. And yeah, I decided my contract came to an end at Gillingham, and I just decided to go for it. I was age 27, and I moved back home and just started, making. You know, started off with boot camps, and now we have a gym with 600 members and 16 staff, and it's gone really well. But yeah, it was a strange one. I went actually to Dunstable to play part-time for a season, just to get some money in to pay the bills. And then, yeah, the Tame United thing, I actually only played 3 games for them, but they seem to plaster it on Wikipedia and people think I still play. But it was just, I just had mates there, basically. I had a few mates that were playing, and I went down and played a few games. It was nice going back and seeing the same faces that I knew when I was like 10 or 12 years old.
So, but doing what you're doing now, I mean, it's something that you're passionate about. You really, really enjoy doing, yeah?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I mean, you know, being a footballer, obviously fitness is something that you do because you have to. But for me, it was always one of the things I enjoyed most. Obviously, the football side of it was great. But I was one of the only few players that enjoyed pre-season. I really enjoyed pushing myself, testing my fitness, being in the gym. Like Jason Moriarty, who was, you know, the sports, the fitness coach at Wimbledon for so many years. He really got me into strength training, to be honest with you. Back in the Wimbledon days, and so I got him to thank. Actually, he probably doesn't know that, but got him to thank for a lot of it. And it just, yeah, I was always, you know, wanting to be in the gym, or was happy to be out doing extra running and stuff. I just really loved the fitness side of it, and so naturally went into that. But yeah, the passion that I get and the enjoyment I get from other people sort of fulfilling their fitness goals gives me great satisfaction. So I'm lucky to do what I do. I absolutely love it, and yeah, to be honest, I haven't looked back since.
Because it's not like a big multi-gym; it's a special sort of personal kind of experience you've got there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a small space in terms of gyms. I mean, it's just under 4,000 square feet. So we do classes. We're just building another studio, so we'll have 2 studios. So it's predominantly classes, but we have a gym there as well. And then we have like a shake bar. So, I mean, we call it a boutique experience. So it's, yeah, we've got 600 members. We get to know each one. It's a much more personal experience than just kind of swiping in and getting on with your own workout. And it's been really well received. I mean, I lived in London when I went back on loan to Wimbledon and then moved to Gillingham. And there was this big rise in these boutique gyms in London. So I just kind of took that model and moved it back to Buckinghamshire, where I am now. And yeah, like I say, it's been really well received. We're actually opening a second gym, which was meant to be at the end of this year, but because of this coronavirus, it's been pushed back a little bit. So it's gone really well, and yeah, hopefully we'll open a few more in the future.
That's brilliant to hear. A couple of things just to finish off on. I mean, you did it at a relatively early age in comparison to most footballers, but how important is it perhaps for footballers, particularly now whilst we're in this period of lockdown, to perhaps contemplate, what they're going to do with the rest of their life? The football career is a relatively short career, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is important. I've had an incredible amount of messages actually from players that are obviously thinking about the end of their career. Players that I've played with at all different clubs that have messaged me over the last year or two, just asking questions about businesses and stuff like that. Because I do feel like it's, obviously there's the coaching route and staying in football, which a lot of players try to go down. But it's such a cutthroat industry that it's hard to rely on that. So to have something that you work on, either in the background or just like I did, decide to make the plunge is a worthwhile thing. So yeah, it's really important, because for players like myself, I was never earning enough money even to take 6 months off at the end of your career to think about it would have been difficult. So you have to continue to work. And like you say, it's a short career. I decided to do it early in my career because I felt like I got to a stage where I was happy to draw a line under football. I was happy with what I'd achieved. I'd had a good time, and I didn't want my football career to feel like I had to do it, or like it was becoming a job, or I'd lost passion for it. I wanted to stop at a time where I could look back with fondness and good memories, rather than dreading going to training and stuff like that. I didn't want that to happen. So I'm sure there's people out there that are just continuing to chase those 1 or 2 year contracts because they feel like they need to do that. But those are the people that really need to start thinking about life after football. And I'm always here to help people discover what they want to do, because I'm a big believer in doing what you're passionate about and doing something you enjoy. And as soon as I stopped enjoying football, I moved on from it. And people say it's a brave decision, but I just feel like that is what people should do, is follow what they enjoy and follow what they believe in.
That's really good to hear. The final thing I just wanted to get your view on as well. I mean, obviously, when you left Wimbledon the first time, you went to Bournemouth. You've touched upon that. You look at where Bournemouth are now, but you see the images perhaps on social media of Wimbledon going back to their home at Plough Lane, the final piece of the jigsaw. Yeah. Do you think that perhaps potentially one day, maybe a championship side, maybe it's the thing to give them that sprint to go further?
No, I do, yeah. I was chatting to this with Elliot the other day, Elliot Godfrey, and both of us are really excited to see Wimbledon play back there. It'd be incredible. Hopefully we'll be able to go to a few games up there as well. And I think that is, like you say, the final piece in the puzzle. It's such a well-supported and loved club. That a stadium like that new stadium, is just going to be so exciting for the whole club. It will help attract good players there. As much as fans don't want to believe it, but players do look at the facilities when they're looking for a new club. If you can now say that you're going to be playing in front of 10,000 people every week, that's a big draw. And like you say, they will have the infrastructure then to go again and hopefully push into the championship, which will be an incredible. I have no doubt in my mind, whenever that will happen, whether it be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, one day FC Wimbledon will be in the championship, and they'll be there to stay as well. I don't believe that it will be a yo-yo club, and it'll be very exciting to see that happen.
Brilliant. Really good talking to you, Stephen. Let's not leave it 8 years till we speak again.
No, absolutely not.